Welcome to Week Gen C.
Focused on young adults in the Northwest.
And their careers in a post-pandemic world. What do you need to get that dream job?
We get the know-how, the tips and the tricks from local employers.
Helping you get to where you want to be in your chosen career. Hello Kyle, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Okay, so do you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Kyle from Hypixel Studios and I work as part of the recruitment team along with my close colleague, Holly Johnson, who I believe you've been speaking to already. So we look after recruiting for the studio. We're currently working on a game called Hytale. So in amongst the recruitment, we do a lot of kind of talking to graduates in, the universities, local colleges, the council, but how we can kind of grow the games industry here as well.
Okay.
Be a large part of my job.
Mm-hmm. And what sorts of roles do you generally recruit? Because I hear you're recruiting.
We're recruiting really heavily, actually. I was going to say quite heavily, but that's not a strong enough word. So we just opened our headquarters here in the city last year. We were acquired by a US company called Riot, who make games like League of Legends, Legends of Runeterra.
Wow,
So,
okay.
so Riot acquired us and we opened our headquarters here. So our operations team and our QA team are based in there. So we've been hiring some roles for that, as well as kind of your more traditional game development roles, which can be anything from, a software engineer, if someone's a coder, right through to like art roles. So 3D modelers and people even who do 2D art. And then we're building out that big QA team as well. So that's testing the game. That's what QA looks after, quality assurance. And we'll eventually be hiring for more kind of publishing roles, stuff like community managers, that kind of thing as well. But we're hiring an in-house lawyer at the minute as well. So it goes as wide as that.
Okay, pretty much anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And what can someone do to make sure that their CV or application stands out?
I think finding a good template that's not too dry and choosing a kind of color scheme for it that's not too garish. So, not like purple and bright red or something, but something, subtle. It's well laid out. The information's easily presentable.
Yeah.
I've noticed there's a lot of templates that use kind of like bars for your skill level and stuff. Sometimes that isn't very clear.
Okay.
So making it clear is the first thing, and then think about the information that's within it.
Okay.
So, if you're just graduating or you're coming out of education, most of your experience is going to be around your education, around your extracurricular activities, and maybe part-time work or some work you've been doing not in a field that you want to get into. So it's all about highlighting the positives. So what I tend to do personally when I'm applying for jobs is I will take my CV and I will take the job description. I will sit down and I will just make a few changes to make it more tailored towards what I'm applying for. Because those CVs definitely do stand out rather than, you can tell when someone has done their CV and just sent it to like 30 people. So that's a really important part. But even more important than that is writing a good cover letter. And a lot of people don't, but your cover letter is your chance to get that first contact with a recruiter or whoever it is at the company or business that you're applying to.
Yeah.
That is going to be in charge of, giving you an interview and stuff. So making sure that's a strong part as well is really important.
Okay. And are there any skills or qualities that you always look for, no matter what job it is?
That's a good question. So because our development team is remote, so we have the operations team and the testing QA team based in Derry, and then everyone else is remote. So it's really important for us to find people that have good communication skills and are able to communicate directly. And this is kind of our advantage coming out of a lot of people having experience working remotely now with COVID. You can find out a lot of like how people work, talking to them about what their experience with remote working has been like, because everybody struggles at the start. I've been working remotely for about 4 years, so I was at a bit of an advantage.
Yes, you're ahead of the game, definitely.
So like at the start, there's stuff that you don't even think about, like just making that disconnection between starting your working day and stuff like that.
And
That,
home
you
life.
know, yeah, and home life and balancing the two, that kind of thing. So we ask a lot of questions around remote working to find
Okay.
that out. We ask a lot of questions around kind of communication and, you know, dealing with mistakes in work as well as a big one. So you will find, you know, if you are coming out of education and applying for jobs, and say you've been working most, I know for me, it was food service industry and retail were my two kind of when
Right.
I was studying that I worked in, but I have loads of skills from there that I
Yeah.
use on a daily basis in recruitment. Like, I'm not even joking. People say that at the time when you're working, oh, you'll gain skills here that you can use anywhere. It's
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
You know, just for retail stuff and food service industry, especially, I think dealing with people is a big one. So we ask questions if people don't have direct experience in the area they're applying for, and maybe they're coming in from another angle. Like, we would see a lot of people who are in traditional software careers in like the finance industry or in web development, and they want to come into games. So we would ask questions around what transferable skills you have. So always bear that in mind as well.
And can you explain how your recruitment process works? Um, is this typical in the gaming industry as well?
Ours is pretty robust. So I went through it myself, and my colleague Holly went through it herself last year. I'm actually with the company now a year next week. So was Holly.
Okay.
So when you apply for us, your CV is reviewed by someone within the company, usually myself and Holly at a high level, and we'll, you know, kind of lean on our team leads and producers for specific disciplines, whatever the job is for,
Yeah.
get a bit more information. And then after that, we may reach out for a screening interview. And that's usually a pretty casual 20, 30-minute talk with Holly and myself around kind of experience. And we ask a couple of questions. And I think it's really important to highlight with a good, you know, if you're applying for a job, it should be a two-way street. So it should be the opportunity for whoever's applying to find out as much about the company as possible. So we have that to start. If we're happy enough to proceed, then we feed back to the hiring manager for the role, which is usually a team leader from the team that the job is going to be within. So if it's an art role, it might be our lead artist, or if it's a
Yeah.
coding role, it might be one of the engineers.
Yeah.
They will then have a 20, 30-minute chat with the candidate on a more deeper level about the craft side of their job. So if that's an engineer, it'll be like around their coding experience and stuff like that. And once we finish that stage, there may be a code review or a craft test. So if you're an artist, you might be given a short exercise to do just to get, you know, a feel for your skills. And then it's into a panel process, and that's 4 interviews with 4 members of the team. Those usually take an hour. They're a deeper kind of dive into 2 on craft and 2
Yeah.
on kind of your fit for the company and, you know, your work
Yeah.
ethic and culture fit and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then if we're happy to proceed there, after everyone's done their interviews, no one discusses anything until all the interviews are complete.
Okay.
And then everyone comes together in a Slack channel and discusses the feedback, and we raise any flags that need to be raised. And then there's a final interview with our CEO, Noxie, who will then address any flags, and fingers crossed, that's the point where you get a rough offer of a job. You know, so
Okay.
it can take, it's funny because it can take, like, mine took 3 days. I did mine over like 3, 4 days.
Okay.
Other people, it can take a couple of weeks if you're
Yeah.
working, you know, and you have to schedule around that.
Mm-hmm.
Most other companies have kind of it varies from studio to studio within games, but a lot of companies do maybe a full all day. Like, you might go to their campus or their studio all day, 8 hours, and you'll do all your interviews and your tests there. Others might have a shorter process. For us, I think it's really good because we're getting a good feel for the candidate, and we're getting a load of point of views that aren't, you know, no one knows anything going in. It's a blind
Mm-hmm.
panel. So the only information they get is some high level feedback from the hiring manager about what this person will do and how they'll fit within the team. And then that allows them to go and have a chat with the candidate with like a fresh slate.
Yeah.
From the candidate's point of view, it lets them chat to multiple people within the team. So I had, like, by my last interview, I had about 30 questions because I'd spoken to that many people, you know.
Yeah. It's very thorough anyway.
Yeah.
What sort of career opportunities are available at the moment?
Us at the moment, we
Yeah.
are hiring a lot of engineers. So
Right.
at the start, so we are kind of building out our teams at the minute and hiring more kind of senior roles. And then hopefully in the next couple of months, that'll give us more room to hire what we would call associates. We don't have a junior position in Hypixel. No one's a junior.
Right.
So our associate level role would be someone who has a little less experience, or maybe, you know, their experience is all in one area.
Okay.
So there'll be a lot of opportunities upcoming for that around all our teams. So that
Yeah.
would be art and, you know, engineering, design even as well.
Yeah. And why do you think a young person should aspire to work in a career of gaming?
It's the most fun thing you can do no matter what you're doing. You know, I think that's if you're into any kind of games, or, you know, you understand like being a fan of something, and it doesn't have to be games. Like, you don't that's the important thing about getting a career in games. You don't have to be a gamer. You don't have to be a gamer with us. We ask questions about games in your interview, but
Yeah.
if you're able to be a fan of something, and this can be anything, like you could be a fan of Star Wars, or you could be a fan of a band, you could be a BTS stan or something like that, you know, and as long as you can be passionate about that,
Yeah.
then
Okay.
you're going to be able to work in the games industry, because a lot of it is to do with passion, you know.
Yeah.
You're focusing on a project that might take a couple of years to do, you know, sometimes up to 10 years. There's
Wow.
games now that are going, you know, 7, 8, 9 years, and they're still being developed. So you got to have that passion to keep yourself motivated for it.
Yeah, well, that does sound like it takes a lot of motivation. And what is the point in working in gaming, do you think?
I suppose it's different for everybody. You know, my thing is being able to contribute to something that people will like get super hyped up about and consume on a daily basis, and will just they'll make connections and meet friends through it, and, you know, it's a platform. It's very rewarding, you know, when you look at it from that point of view.
Yeah. Okay, well, is there anything else you would like to say? Any advice or anything that you could give from your point in your career before we finish up?
I think the important thing for younger people is, you know, I know I started out thinking I'd love to work in games, but you don't know where to go because there's that many options.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the important thing is to find out what you're good at first at that stage. So if you're good at maths, you might go into programming. You know, if you're good at art, you might go into an artist role. If you're good at if you're good at technology and design, you might be a great designer. So it's about finding what you're good at, and then finding something around that you can work at. And if you enjoy games in a way, or you enjoy like movies and films and stuff like that as well, it's definitely an amazing career to get into.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Kyle. It was lovely speaking to you.
You too. Have a good day.
You too. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.